What's going on, guys? So Resident Evil is a classic game. Debuting in 1996 for PlayStation, the game coined the term survival horror with its fixed camera angles, limited ammo, and dark, foreboding atmosphere. Over time, more sequels came out, expanding on the lore of the first game. As it got more popular, the title crossed over into different media. There were novels, board games, and of course, the movies. While some of the movies were a big letdown to die-hard fans, other ones upheld the overall feel of the games. So in this video, I'll be ranking the Resident Evil films. Now, while I'm almost certain I've ranked these before, there have been a couple new movies that came out since then, so this list will include those as well. Starting with number 11. It's Resident Evil: The Final Chapter. This one is the final installment in the Milla Jovovich-led franchise where she plays Alice, an Umbrella operative who was genetically enhanced with the T-virus, basically making her a superhuman. In this one, Alice goes back down to the Hive, the Umbrella lab from the first film, to confront Dr. Alexander Isaacs, the head of Umbrella. I mean, I don't hate this one, I'm just frustrated because they really screwed up the continuity, and some things in this one don't link up with the original film. Next, for number 10, it's Resident Evil from 2002. This one is the first in the Milla Jovovich franchise, and at first it looked promising. Who would have guessed what followed was a dumpster fire? Alice is led down to a hidden lab underneath the mansion she lives in. The T-virus leaked in the lab, turning everyone down there into zombies. She's joined by a special tactics unit who are sent in to contain the outbreak. But it doesn't work out, and the outbreak spreads into the city. Number 9 is Resident Evil Extinction, the third one of the Jovovich films. In this one, the T-virus outbreak has basically turned the world into a wasteland with people only surviving in small convoys. The Umbrella Corporation retreated underground to continue their experiments. With the help of a convoy led by a survivor named Claire Redfield, Alice tracks Dr. Isaacs to the underground lab for a final confrontation. But he was bitten by a genetically altered zombie and began mutating with the overuse of the antivirus. Alice has a showdown against Isaacs, who ends up getting killed by a laser grid. This is pretty much the best part of the whole movie. For number 8, we have Resident Evil Damnation. This is the second animated Resident Evil film starring Leon Kennedy, a rookie cop turned government agent. He goes to the Eastern Slav Republic to investigate reports of BOWs in the area. BOWs are creatures made by Umbrella. As it turns out, the country is in the middle of a civil war where BOWs are being used in the fight. This is a pretty good movie, but it's not as good as the other animated films. However, the fight with the Tyrant is pretty good. Tyrant being one of Umbrella's more successful BOWs. In the number 7 spot is Resident Evil Vendetta. This is the third animated film featuring both Leon and Chris Redfield. Chris is a member of an anti-bioterrorism team tracking a terrorist named Glenn Arias who plans on releasing a new virus on New York. He then recruits Leon to help take him down. But Arias uses the virus on himself, becoming a new tyrant. This one isn't bad, it has a lot of action and the plot is pretty good. I just think it could have been a little bit better. Anyway, number 6 is Resident Evil Afterlife. This is the fourth of the Jovovich movies. Alice goes after Wesker, a high-ranking member of Umbrella in Japan, leading to the main Umbrella facility blowing up. She then heads with Claire to Los Angeles, which is now a wasteland. There, she meets a group of survivors, one of which is Claire's estranged brother, Chris. They have to work together to survive and get to a giant rescue ship. But that turns out to be a trap led by Umbrella. Alice is left to face Wesker yet again, but this time, seemingly defeating him. This one had a lot of action and featured both Chris and Claire, so it's higher on the list. Number 5 is Resident Evil Degeneration. This is the first animated film. Leon and Claire reunite long after the events of Resident Evil 2. Claire gets caught in the middle of a T-virus outbreak at an airport caused by Wolf Pharma, another pharmaceutical company who are trying to replicate Umbrella's research. Leon is then sent in to save a high-ranking politician trapped inside the airport. He runs into Claire, and the two stick together to investigate Wolf Pharma. A former scientist named Curtis Miller then injects himself with the G-virus to expose Umbrella for their crimes after his family died in Raccoon City. This one was pretty awesome, and it had a lot of elements of Resident Evil 2 in it, which is my favorite game in the series. At number 4 is Resident Evil Apocalypse. This is the second Jovovich film and the closest one to the game that the franchise ever got. In this one, as Raccoon City fell to the T-virus outbreak, Alice joins a group of survivors led by STARS member Jill Valentine to try to make it out of the city before it gets nuked by the government. With Umbrella blocking off the only entrance into the city, Alice, Jill, and the others are forced to encounter the zombies and BOWs within. Not only that, but Alice is being stalked by Nemesis, a relentless android sent by Umbrella to kill any remaining STARS members left in town. This one's so high on the list only because it basically has the same plot as the Resident Evil 3 game. However, it does have a few flaws. In the number 3 spot, we have Resident Evil Death Island. This is the newest and the 4th animated film, featuring all 4 main characters: Chris, Jill, Leon, and Claire. After an outbreak occurs on Alcatraz, Chris, Jill, and Claire head there to figure out what caused it. They run into Leon, and it's discovered that a former soldier named Dylan wants to use the T-virus to restart the world. His actions are then thwarted by the group, but not before he injects himself and becomes another BOW. This is one of my favorite RE films because it has ties to Resident Evil 2 and 3, and also features all 4 main characters. For number 2, it's Resident Evil Retribution. This is the 5th film of the Jovovich films, but why is it so high up on the list? Well, after the events of Afterlife, Alice finds herself captured by Umbrella and is sent underground to a testing grounds in Russia. There, she must team with an agent named Ada Wong and work her way through different environments to escape. But standing in her way is Jill Valentine, now under Umbrella's control. The reason I put this at number 2 is mainly because of the Alice and Jill fight. It's really good, and is taken pretty much right out of Resident Evil 5. Actually, I ranked this one so high on the list, mainly just because of Jill. I'm just kidding. But I will say I didn't really care for those test environments. That was kind of weird. Or the introduction of Leon, who didn't really look like Leon at all. Oh yeah, and the ending, where it looked like the final movie was going to be pretty epic, but it wasn't. Finally, at number 1, we have Welcome to Raccoon City. A lot of people hated this movie, but you know what? It was the closest film to the games. After the STARS team gets called to the Spencer Mansion, an estate owned by Umbrella, people in town start becoming sick and slowly turn into zombies. Leon is a rookie cop who just got to town, and he meets Claire at the police station. While STARS members Chris and Jill investigate the mansion, which is also full of zombies, Leon and Claire flee to a nearby orphanage. Eventually, both groups meet up in an underground lab where they discover the sickness in town is due to a T-virus outbreak that Umbrella is responsible for. Then they face off against William Birkin, a scientist from Umbrella who mutates into a giant BOW. Like I said, this one's the closest to the games. It takes the plots of the first 2 games and merges them into one. Alright guys, well that was my ranking of the Resident Evil films. How do you feel about it? What's your ranking? Do you agree with my number 1? Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.